which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to start off tonight by welcoming our new board member, Kaylee Whitlash. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now is when you do your presentation.
Okay.
Just kidding.
You can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Kaylee. I'm a senior at Southmoreland, and I love to do theater. Last year I was in our first ever musical. I was a stepsister, and yeah, that's my passion. I love to do theater. I'm also a member of a National Honor Society. I play clarinet in the band, and I sing in the chorus as well.
And now you're on the board. Well, welcome. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alt.
Here.
Mr. Beistel.
Here.
Mr. Benz. Mr. Carson.
Here.
Mr. Fry.
Here.
Mr. Polakowski.
Here.
Mrs. Rhodes. Here. Mrs. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Love.
Here.
Kaylee Whitlash.
Here.
Dylan Opalinsky. Okay, they informed me that Dylan has band obligations this evening.
Citizens' comments?
I have none.
Approval of minutes.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the minutes for the August 9th and August 16th, 2018 board meetings and the revised June 28th, 2018 voting meeting minutes.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second? Which person? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Accounts. Fund accounting check summary.
The board is asked to consider approval of the August 2018 fund accounting check summary.
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Polakowski, second.
Second.
Mr. Beistel. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Mr. Beistel.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mr. Fry.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Love.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 and 1 absent.
July 2018 Treasurers Report.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the July 2018 Treasurer's Report.
So moved.
Mr. Fry, second.
Second.
Mr. Polakowski. Roll call, please.
Mr. Beistel.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mr. Fry.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Mrs. Love.
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
August 2018 Board Summary General Fund Report.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the August 2018 Board Summary General Fund Report.
Motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Rhodes, second. Mrs. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mr. Fry.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes. Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Mr. Beistel.
Yes.
Mrs. Love.
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
Board reports. CWCTC.
I have no report this evening, Madam President.
The WIU report I have attached under executive content. You guys can read the whole thing. PSBA liaison report.
Yeah, I just have a short one here. And Greg's not here tonight, but I would ask him about this maybe later or find out. Pennsylvania State Police and Governor Wolf announced Tuesday that troopers will be conducting safety checks at schools in their coverage areas. This would include a patrol around the property, or the trooper may go inside to chat with students, teachers, and staff. I believe this is taking place more in the school districts in the eastern part of the state right now. These safety checks are geared more for districts and towns that do not have their own police force. The idea came out of the meetings that the school safety task force conducted across the state with school officials, staff, parents, students, and law enforcement. The hope is this will build a better relationship between the troopers and students. It is being well received in the districts in the eastern part of the state. In districts with their own resource officers, it will continue to foster a strong relationship. Pennsylvania has 1,300 municipalities without their own police force, and of course East Huntington Township being one of them. So this is one way the state police can support school safety. And again, I don't know if it's going to start in the eastern part of the state and work its way over, or how they plan on doing that. But anyway, it's a start. And I'm sure if it comes around in this area, Greg would probably be contacted. The district would probably be contacted about it. So anyway, that ends my report tonight.
I would like to go on record as giving kudos to the Scottsdale Police. They're already coming in and doing that within this Scottsdale complex.
Good.
They're being pretty proactive and coming in on a fairly regular basis. So I just wanted to recognize that they are already doing that.
That's great. That's great.
Student report?
Friday, October 12th is the homecoming game at 7 p.m. Southmoreland will crown a homecoming king and queen. Friday, October 26th is senior recognition night at 7 p.m. SAT testing at Southmoreland High School will be on October 6th and March the 9th. 11th grader Haley Krauscher was recently recognized both nationally and globally for her superior writing skills. The Ayn Rand competition is a worldwide writing contest that is highly competitive and selective. Not only must students excel at writing, but also literature and philosophy. There were only 12 finalists selected in the whole state of Pennsylvania, and Haley was among them. This is a very prestigious honor. Not only was Haley honored for her analytical writing, but also personal narrative. She was one of 8 finalists in the whole country for Narratives Magazine's Tell Me a Story writing contest. Haley's enormous heart makes her one of the most dedicated students to both school and community service, but when coupled with her writing ability, it makes her a writer who brings her audience both feel and celebrate in joys and tribulations of life. Not many adults, let alone a teenager, can capture that pure human emotion and vulnerability in writing. Haley's writing will someday inspire the world the same way it inspires her teachers and peers. When you have a gift like that, don't ever let it go unnoticed. The world will benefit immensely from Haley's talent and stories. Southmoreland National Honor Society students will be assisting the Jacobs Creek Watershed Association at the annual Creek Falls Cleanup on October 6th at 9 a.m. Members of the community are also encouraged to attend. This fall, the National Honor Society is also sponsoring a food drive through the Westmoreland Food Bank, as well as participating in the Turkey Cup, a fundraising contest for the food bank. There will be a social skills autistic support class at SBC beginning on September 25th. Participating seniors include Zoe Carson, Alyssa Kaiser, Megan King, Lexi Klatt, Emily Kropp, and Olivia Price. Students will depart SHS at 11:15 a.m. to report to SBC and will return approximately 12:35 p.m. This is an email from Mrs. Elizabeth Goodman. September 15th is International Dot Day all over the world. This day was created based off the popular children's story, The Dot. It is a wonderful story about a child who lacks confidence in her art until her teacher tells her to just make a mark and see where it goes. She then becomes inspired to create marks as beautiful dots in many different colors and sizes. She has her own exhibition of her dot art and then proceeds to inspire another child to create. Though I teach high school, today we went back in time and tapped into childhood memories as my high school students designed dots of all different colors, design, etc. after reading the story. They used knowledge of color theory and design to complete their ideas and had a lot of fun. We also collaborated with the language teachers to include a written element about dreams they have for their future.
Anti-bullying committee report?
Mr. Mash and I just spoke a little bit ago about getting some dates together so we can maybe possibly meet next week or the beginning of the week following to see where we are and see what we can put forward here in the district. Also, October 9th is a program in Jeanette that we're going to go. It's Rachel's Challenge, and there's going to be a program there, and we're going to go and participate or be a part of it. So I'm sure we'll learn a lot that we can bring back to the district. So that's where we are right now. And I don't know, Mr. Mash, if you want to add anything to that?
Rachel's Promise is a
Yeah.
really good program that we're looking to possibly implement here in the district. So we wanted to send some representatives out to further explore that. So hopefully we're going to have a lot more information to present down the line. It does have a lot of promise to being a very good program for us.
School Safety Committee report.
No report at this time.
I did want to report that we got together for our second budget meeting. Our committee consists of Mr. Masha, Mr. Marnell, Mrs. Rhodes, and myself, and Mr. Calero also. And we are looking already at our budget for next year. We have asked the business manager to give us and I say very preliminary budget to work from in October. And we've looked into different things like ride sharing with more districts for more of our students. We're looking at our busing runs and schedules to see if we can't combine some. Our principals are looking into cost-saving programs. We're looking into inventorying our supplies so that we're not ordering things that we have a surplus from or surplus of. And our new admin staff are working to make our cyber program exceptional. We're doing everything we can. We're not leaving any stone unturned, so I just wanted y'all to know that. Superintendent report?
I just wanted to also thank that committee for meeting with us and getting this process underway. I think we're being proactive and really starting early and trying to address a concern that we had, obviously, from last budget year, and hopefully we're going to be addressing it and looking to find solutions. I have a very short report. This week I was made aware that there is a potential mold mildew problem at Roughdale Building. Mr. Miswah had contacted PSI, so we're going to do some air quality testing there, and I'm going to be waiting for the results of those tests. I was in contact with WIU, the Westmoreland County Intermediate Unit that has programming there, and also the Westmoreland Community Action. So they were made aware of the circumstances, and I directly asked if they felt it was safe for their kids to be in the building, and I carbon copied Mr. Marnell and Mr. Petonic on those emails, and they're both waiting for the results of those tests to determine the next steps. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of those circumstances. And also, Mr. Marnell and I attended the Westmoreland County Healthcare Consortium this morning, so that is the extent of my report.
Solicitor report.
Have to follow up on that with what Mr. Masha just referred to at the Roughdale Building. In addition to the material that I had presented in my executive session report, I had sought the consent of the realtors who had submitted responses to the request for proposals for being a realtor for the Roughdale School, to extend the deadline for you to decide, you the board, from tonight was actually the deadline I'm recommending November 15, 2018. And I did get an affirmative response back from the Berkshire Hathaway person, and I got an email back from Tidwell, but apparently they forgot to attach the PDF letter that I had sent them, which I think was just an oversight. So I'll be asking or calling for a resolution for you to extend that deadline to on or before November 15, 2018. Further down on your agenda is a resolution concerning the settlement of the litigation filed by Linda Butai against Southmoreland School District and several other school districts which then was consolidated with several other former teachers at the Westmoreland attack against other school districts. And the insurance carrier, CM Region Insurance, and the attorney appointed for us, Susan Roberts, and the other attorneys reached a global settlement with the union on that, and the resolution, which is farther down on your agenda, to approve that settlement with the proceeds being paid by the insurance company. I'm recommending that you approve that. All of the other districts have already, I believe, approved it, and so it's ready to end that. I'll have for you in executive session some material concerning personnel issue, and that concludes my report for tonight.
Old business, pay-to-play procedure clarification.
The board has been asked to assist in clarification of the district's pay-to-play procedures, where the monies are to be directed. I was asked to find out from the past board meetings where that was to be directed, and it is to the best of my knowledge and understanding that outlet pay-to-play money was to be put into the general fund.
I'll make a motion to put the band money in the band organization, and the pay-to-play money from football, baseball, whatever you may need, put it in the athletic fund, pay bills out that he might need or whatever.
So it's going into the general fund with a line item for band or athletics.
Right.
I think that will require 6 votes because it's within the first.
I can't hear you.
It will require a vote, affirmative vote of 6 members because it's within the first 3 months of the fiscal year. Not a mere majority.
I'll second that.
Second.
Roll call? Discussion? Citizen comments, because it's... Do you have citizen comments on that? Any citizen comments on that?
Yes.
Citizens' comments on that?
Yes.
Hello, I live in Upper Tyrone Township. I don't think that was the intention of the funding that you proposed for reducing the deficit. Number one, I don't know what the line item means, but none of the sports programs will ever pay for themselves using any of the monies that they earmark from pay to play. So it's kind of irrelevant. You're never going to have an overage in your account that you can say, oh, look, I can use this money to buy something extra. There's never going to be enough money in any one of those sub-accounts to actually be able to pay for the entire program itself. So it's pointless earmarking for anything. It might as well just go into the general fund, and then the general fund will pay out that budgeted item. There had been some discussion at the last meeting about, and I believe Mr. Beistel said, well, what if somebody needed an extra helmet? Well, that's too bad. You're budgeted X number of dollars for your sports programs. You have to figure out how to get it. You can't use pay-to-play money and say, well, I get extra money because it's just for football or just for baseball because that's what it was raised for. I think you're defeating the entire purpose of having pay-to-play if you earmark monies into a specific account to be used for that specific sport. Thank you.
Anyone else? Discussion? Anybody? Roll call?
Mr. Fry,
No.
Mr. Polakowski?
No.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Mr. Holt?
No.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
No.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion fails 3 to 5, 1 absent.
Staff dress down Friday clarification.
I was also asked to identify where that money was targeted to go, and to the best of my understanding, it was also to go to the general fund.
Discussion?
Is that the Blue Jean money?
Yes, sir.
The way I understand it is the teachers raise that money on Blue Jean Friday or whatever it's called. And I think they should have a say where it goes, the funding that they want to do. For example, I'll give you a good example, the backpack situation at our schools. They donate a lot of stuff to that. It's going back to our kids. Now, every time that they do this, it helps the children in this school district. And it's a reason it's there. It's the reason they do it. Not to make your general fund equal itself out. They raise that money. They should say where it goes. That's my opinion. I only got one of them, so everybody spit it out.
I agree with Butch this time on this. I know we had a different opinion on the last motion, but I think they should decide where it goes, not into the general fund.
But it was a fundraiser to help the budget. That's what it was originally for.
That wasn't originally for that. That started long before this budget came up.
They have been doing dress
This has been going
down,
on for years.
blue jean dress down.
Have they been collecting money for years?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And where has that money been going?
I just told you where
Yeah, it's always
Special
charitable.
projects.
Backpacks and so forth.
Yeah, Red Cross, yeah, library. If a family is in need, they'll give money to a family in need.
Mr. Fry, in the
Is
board.
there a representative back here from that helps raise that money to come up and explain what they do with it?
I would imagine any of the teachers that would be willing to come forth. I do know that from the middle school's perspective, because my past role, I know that that money was targeted for special projects, some of which would be at Thanksgiving. Money was collected in baskets. Food baskets were given to those in need. At Christmas time, money was also collected and toys were brought. And once again, food baskets were made for families in need. So the original intent of that project was as a service outreach by the faculty. So just historically, that was the genesis of that.
I just had a problem with, my understanding was that was just coming into play, this dress.
No, it's been,
So that was when we had such a deficit, and they were talking about ways of making money, and I thought that's when this came into play.
no, it's been around
Okay.
for a very long time.
And regardless,
That
if
clarifies
this
that.
is a line item in the budget, now, because of the budget resolution, the school board's taken over that function and made it part of your budget. Now, you can move it around within the budget with 6 votes, but you're either going to do it as part of the budget, or you need to replace that money with something else.
What did we do in the past?
Well, the problem is this was not
This lady
properly
here wants to
presented.
talk.
It was presented at the
No, I
last
was
minute.
just coming to clarify, but I think Mr. Masha did, so thank you, Mr. Masha.
You're welcome.
And I can agree with, I don't know whether this was done in the past or not, and I don't dispute what's being said. But you made it part of your budget. So you need to find money to replace it.
Well, what if, okay, so what if every teacher doesn't do it and it doesn't,
Then you're
No,
short
we're
that
just
amount of
saying-
money and you have to move it from somewhere
You
else.
would generate, we expected to generate X amount of dollars, but if there's no participation, then you're not going to generate X amount of dollars, you're not gonna have anything.
right?
That's what you, yeah.
I recognize that fact.
So how do
It's part of your budget now, though.
we can't get out of that then?
Well, you need to move money from some other category to make it up.
Am I right or wrong, Jim? Didn't the money come out of the food? A lot of the, now, well, my daughter, okay, I'll tell you, my daughter's in charge of that at the church. And she gets a hold of the lady at the food service, and they order stuff through that. And a lot of that they donate to just out of this fund. And to me, you do what you want to do, because
Well,
this budget's,
Each building had their dress down Friday.
Yes.
It was announced that, it's dress down Friday, wear jeans. If you wear jeans, you turn in $5 to the school office. So we would go next door and turn over $5 to the school office. And the school office would collect the money. And, the school building had made a decision, what that dress down day was for. And it was for charitable purposes, to help needy kids or whatever. It never came back to the business office to be deposited in the general fund. It was expended after they collect their $5 for, as Mr. Mash has said, and the teachers can attest to. So it was money that never came back to the general fund. It was a fundraising initiative.
then it's just like a parents association sells tickets or whatever, and they raise money, it goes into their association for what they want to use it for. Am I right or wrong? More or less.
You're right.
Well, doesn't that contradict what Mr. Matonic just said?
Well, what Mr. Platonic said, he just reinforced the action that was taken on June 28th, that the estimate of collecting, I think it was $25,000 for Friday Jean Day was estimated, X number of employees times $5, $25,000, and that was to be part of revenue for going towards balancing the general fund budget. So that's what was done at the June meeting, the budget passage. Just like the pay-to-play was to be added back to the general fund as a revenue source to offset expenditures.
Excuse me, just one question, then I'm just going to shut up. What happens if this money is not raised by the teachers? Then can they come back and say they want that out of the budget to spend what they want to spend on?
Well, that's a very good question. I understand we've already been having Friday Jean Day, and I know they've been turning over money into the school offices. None has been remitted over to the business office to be deposited into general fund, because I think the whole issue has been held pending a final resolution. I guess tonight was the night it was supposed to be decided. Did you want them to go back to doing it for the charitable purposes that they had been doing for years, or turn the money over to us? Now, a lot of employees have said, I won't use any names, well, if the intent is just to turn it over to the business office to go towards balancing the budget, then we're just not going to wear jeans on Friday. Because they want their money to go towards something that was meaningful.
Then why was it presented as part of the budget?
I didn't do that.
I understand that. That's my
who did?
question.
Who did?
It was presented as part of the numbers.
We talked about it for
Balance
part
the
of the budget.
Yeah, we all did.
So if you're not going to do it, or if it's not going to be supported, you're short $25,000. I'm just telling you what happened.
Now, one idea that was asked, and I said, well, I can't answer it for you. One idea was asked, well, could we spend it in our building for needed supplies to offset, supply monies that were cut? And I said, well, that's a pretty good idea. I said, but I can't make that decision whether that money is to be used in each school building to buy, needed supplies, because supply budgets were cut. And maybe that would be okay as, if you contemplate that and think about it that way.
So we need to make, if we wanted to change that, we need to make a motion to take $25,000, remove it as possible income to the general fund. Is that right, Jim?
True.
And then,
Yes.
And then they can collect, because some people here might say, let's just leave it in the general fund, but if they're not going to give you the money, then you're not going to get it anyway. So it's kind of self-defeating.
Very true.
If we don't take the $25,000 out of the budget,
What if
we're
we
not going to
did,
get it anyway.
what if we did half and half? What if we did half goes to building and half goes to charitable?
May I just reaffirm once again, from what I've heard through speaking to teachers, if it goes to the general fund, they would not support the dress down day. The intent of the program, the intent was a service outreach by the staff, and it was changed. That was the original purpose. And there were staff members that had passings of a spouse or something, and that money was given to them to help offset potential costs. It was driven as a service-oriented venture by the staff.
Well, as a guy that's usually looking for ways to make money, I'm going to change my mind about this one. I'll make the motion that we reduce the general fund by $25,000 and give it and let the teachers go back to the way it was with their mission or their fundraising of it. And because one way or another, we're not going to get it. I mean, if we don't do that, what I just recommended, we're not going to get much, if anything, anyway. So what difference does it make?
Is it coming from budgetary reserve or where?
Jim?
Well, right now, we haven't collected any money, so there's,
But where would the
right now, it's just a number on a piece of paper. It's buried back under miscellaneous revenue as a budget source. You make estimates, and whether you hit it or not, you find out during the year and after the year. So
What was the number we used on the June 28th?
we use 25,000.
25,000.
Yes.
So to be on the safe side, we would take $25,000 out of the reserve fund, I guess.
I would only do that if you intend on spending that $25,000 to take it out of the reserve fund. Just, let it go. You're not going to collect it. It would be one of those revenue sources that, would come in under budget, and maybe not, because there's other estimates in miscellaneous revenue. Refunds of prior year expenditures, refunds from the IU or the VOTEC, so on and so forth.
So is that motion that I made sufficient?
Your motion is to reduce the budget by $25,000.
Is that what you're saying, Jim? Or not?
Well,
You're not reducing the budget, you're reducing revenue.
I think if I heard correctly, is you want to reverse your decision on making the school offices employees turn over that money to the general fund.
Yes.
How you put that into exact wording, I don't know. It's just
I'll let somebody up here put the words in my mouth. Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying.
For just one time, right, Ken?
Yeah, just
Go
one
ahead.
time they can speak for me.
Is that motion okay, Dave? Before we do whatever, before we vote?
I just don't know what your auditor is going to say about this.
Well, we'll worry about the auditor when the time comes. I'm making the motion. I'll second.
I personally think it's sad that any way we ever come up with an idea of trying to cut the budget and we don't have support. I think that's awful that they won't support the dress down day for it to go in the general fund, to me.
Well, but I see their
I
point.
see
When
that
they've
they
used
want
it
to
for
do good, and
yeah,
that's nice, but
it's
they
not-
can raise $5 more and still do the same thing, in my opinion.
I think if the situation was that it wasn't something that was already in place and they hadn't been doing it for years and it was a new thing, I think that would be different. But since it's already in place, I think that's That's the situation.
That's my philosophy.
It's kind of like
Yeah,
we're
I
taking
think
it
it's
away
already
from
in
them.
place.
And if it would have been a new thing that we
Yeah.
instituted to raise money, and it didn't, so be it.
I guess it was a bad idea that we put that in there.
Is there public discussion?
Again, my name is Bob Claro from Ontario Township, and this board has a very, very short memory. First of all, I'd be curious to know how much money those dress-down days raised in the past, because I sat here during the June meetings when everybody was complaining about how much the budget was being cut, and I saw teachers come up here tell me that they could help the budget by doing these dress-down days, and were very specific in the amount of money they could raise to reduce the budget. And they came up with I'm not asking you to comment, Butch. They came up with a $25,000 figure, which to me says, I'm not asking you to spend the money on me. I'm saying I'm asking you to help the budget by getting $25,000 through this dress-down day. Now, if the board wants to go ahead and allow them to raise $25,000 and use it whatever way they want, well, I guess you could kind of let every other organization say, well, you know what? If I raise some money, I'll be able to use it for the things I want to use it for. This budget was in deficit, and the $25,000 was one of the things, as Mr. Potonik has said, specifically listed to reduce the deficit. When you take that out, you are taking $25,000 out of the budget and not allowing the budget. Again, you're right. You may not have raised the $25,000. And what I would say, if you didn't raise the $25,000, shame on the teachers for offering to raise $25,000 using that. But it doesn't matter. Whether it's raised or it's not raised, it was voted to reduce the budget, not to give extra money for any other activity. Nobody came up here that I heard say, we would like $25,000 so we can use it for something we want to use it for because you're cutting the budget. That was never said. It was said, and you can go back and look at the meeting, that's the way it was presented, to help reduce the deficit. Thank you.
That's also my memory.
I couldn't agree with Mr. Calero more, but having said that, it comes back to the point of, he's absolutely right, but if we don't do it on the motion, then they're not going to do the money. So what difference does it make? We'll still be losing a good cause. The money goes to the right, a good cause. I'm sorry, Bob?
Shame on them if they don't do it, because that's what they offer to help them. And if they don't get it, you don't get it, so what?
I absolutely agree, Bob, but
You know, one way to refresh everybody's memory is to replay those hearings where people spoke on up for that reason. Well, we'll help raise money for the budget.
why don't we, I can always rescind the motion, I assume. No?
Yeah, you can,
Maybe we should table this and talk to the teachers? I don't know.
well, I think we have the general consensus of the teachers. They're not going to do it.
Well, then let's vote on it then. If it goes, it goes, and if it don't, it don't.
Roll call?
Discussion.
Oh, we have?
Well, looks like it's spin on it, but the only thing is, if it truly does generate $25,000, that's great. And I think it's great they do it, and I know they like dressing down. The thing is, they're going to give $25,000 away to charitable organizations. That's great. I volunteer. I think it's a great idea. But then we're out selling spaghetti dinners to help secure our schools. That money needs to stay in the budget. It has to. Or they just don't dress down. But it's kind of we're out soliciting money to pay for wands, metal detectors, and our teachers are giving the money away to whether the people in the district or giving it to the Blue Cross. It sort of doesn't make a lot of sense. If we could really use that money, and it's for their safety as well.
That was the continued incentive. If you want to wear jeans on Friday, you pitch in your $5, and that goes towards the budget. I understand that too, yes.
It makes us look kind of...
I don't look very good in jeans except cutting grass and things like that, but I would wear those.
You like wearing jeans,
Comfortable.
They can decide where they want to put the money, so maybe they will decide something with the security aspect. It just depends.
I don't know, whatever you want to do, Ken.
I'm gonna remove that.
So, yes puts it in the general fund, no, we give it to the teachers. Is that correct?
Now, one thing to
That's the other
consider
way
is,
around, I think.
I mean, if we do roll call here.
Yes,
Yes, it goes to the
yes, it
general
goes to the
fund.
teachers, no, it goes to the general fund.
there have already been a couple dress down Fridays, 2 maybe?
Every payday.
And monies have been turned in. I don't know what they were thinking.
A lot of the offices are holding it.
They're holding it. So a decision would have to be made, do you allow people to pick up their $5 and take it back, or turn it into the general fund, or allow those initial collections to go for whatever charitable purpose that they, it's a mess. It was not money ever accounted for through the business office. I can tell you that much. So I have no clue how much was ever collected for charitable purposes in the past.
Does anyone know?
I contributed $5, whether I wore jeans or not. It didn't matter. Just you're helping, a student or someone was sick or whatever. You turn in $5.
It varied, and no one really kept track of the total because it was on a weekly basis. So I don't know if there's really an accurate way of assessing how much money was collected.
How did that work? You paid the money and then it was, where was
It
it?
was all collected within the buildings itself, and each building then had the discretion to use it towards whatever project. Say like there was a middle school or an elementary school teacher or an employee that was experiencing problems, a health problem or a death, then that school had the flexibility to reach out whichever they felt was the cause they wanted to support. Most generally around the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas in particular, I do know that most of the schools did reach out to families in need.
You could buy a proclamation made every Friday dress down day and not have any contributions, and then teachers could get amongst themselves and do whatever they want with their money.
Exactly.
That would be dirty pool. I would much rather work with the board than work against them.
If we could design a form, do you agree to have $5 taken out of your paycheck every 2 weeks to go towards the general fund? Those who said yes, we would deduct it out of their paycheck.
All right, let's get this to a vote.
Yeah.
We've discussed enough.
And what it is Mr. Alt made a motion to reduce the general fund by 25,000.
The revenue, wasn't it the
The
revenue?
revenue, let the teachers go back to raising funds for charitable donations. Mr. Beistel seconded.
So yes means teachers keep their money to contribute how they see fit. No means it goes into the general fund. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alt,
Yes.
Mr. Beistel.
Yes.
Mr. Carson,
No.
Mr. Fry,
No.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes. Yes. Mrs. Smith,
No.
Mrs. Love.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-3.
Actually, it fails, right? You need 6 votes?
Well, that's the legal question as to whether you're moving money from one budgeted item to another. But actually what you're doing is
Just reducing
declining revenue.
So perhaps it's okay.
I have no idea.
Well, it's done now.
Honestly.
It's done. We'll honor it.
This is one of
If
the
it's wrong,
things
you'll
I
come back and
kept,
let us know.
this is one thing I kept saying for years.
He's right. They can't.
We keep them in their school district. We'll do what we want to do when we want to do it. And nobody tells anything about anything. I'm not talking about the budget. I'm talking about whatever somebody wants to do, they're going to do it when they want to do it. And it's coming back to bite you now. We need money and we're just driving everywhere we can get to get the money. because we are financially strapped. So, you know,
On the other end of that, I have requested that, I know that in meeting with the committee, it was suggested that we try to get some type of inventory of supplies. I know that the buildings are inventorying their supplies that they have with the idea that they are going to share to help reduce costs. So I know that the staff and the faculty are working to try to reduce some of the overall costs of, to the district. So there are other ways that the staff, the faculty are looking to assist in reducing costs.
I think the best thing is we've got to build camaraderie with the teachers, everybody here, to help get through this year that we're in and the next year coming up. That's my own personal opinion.
Moving on. Information regarding Ruffstill building. Oh, but he was going to do more, wasn't
Is there any more?
he?
Pardon?
Anything else from Ruffdale?
Well, it would be just to call for a resolution to consent to the request for proposals, vote to choose the Realtor, deadline to be extended to on or before November 15, 2018.
And this is in preparation to get ready to sell?
Yes. Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comment from the public?
Comment from the public on the Ruffstill building? Hearing none. Anybody have anything you want to talk about? Roll call?
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
New business, school law workshop.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the resolution which states, whereas the solicitor is requesting attendance at the annual school law workshop pursuant to his appointment. Be it resolved that the solicitor is authorized to attend and the treasurer is directed to pay for the attendance of the solicitor at the solicitor's workshop at the annual convention of Pennsylvania School Boards Association in Hershey on October 16th and 17th, 2018, at a registration fee for the school law workshop of $330 and room October 16th overnight to noon October 17th, 2018 at $203 plus 11% tax, which is the lodge rate, which equals to $225.33 plus the usual and customary meal and transportation expenses.
Motion? Mrs. Rhodes, second.
Second.
Mr. Polakowski. Roll call?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
No.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 7, 1 no, 1 absent.
MOU WCCS.
The board is asked to consider the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Southmoreland School District and Washington County Children's and Youth Services for the transportation of children in foster care, which under ESSA, which is Every Student Succeeds Act, we are required to do.
Motion?
Make that motion.
Mr. Polakowski, second.
Second.
Mr. Carson, roll call?
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
Juvenile probation officers agreement to carry firearms on school property.
The board is asked to consider approving an agreement between Southmoreland School District and Westmoreland County Juvenile Probation, which authorizes juvenile probation officers to carry firearms during commission of their official duties for defensive purposes only in district schools.
Make a motion?
Question on that real quick.
Yes.
Does that, how about Fayette County?
We haven't got any kind of type of agreement with them, but I would think if they so chose, we would have similar,
That's a honor.
yeah.
I just wondered if it's in that district or that town. Okay.
Yeah, we do stretch across 2 counties, so we have not received anything from them yet.
Mrs. Rhodes made a motion, second. Mrs. Smith? Roll call, please.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith? Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
Highlands Hospital?
The board is asked to consider the approval of an agreement between Highlands Hospital in Connersville and Southmoreland School District for the placement of students in the Highlands Autistic Support Program.
Motion? How much did you say it was going to save?
Approximately, with the one student we're placing there, that's $9,000 saving.
Make a motion.
Mr. Carson?
Second.
Mr. Polakowski? Any more discussion?
Vince, what is this again? I know you were just...
It's, we have students that we're sending to other autistic programs in Greensburg. This would bring that student and the possibility of other students into the Connersville program, which is comprehensive for physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, and it also provides the aids for a one cost, which, depending on the extent of services that students would require, this student is saving us $9,000. So,
No savings.
Okay. Thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
SPHS Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol?
the board is asked to consider school treatment services with Southwestern Pennsylvania Human Services Incorporated through Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission for the 2018-2019 school year. This is an existing service with our school district.
Discussion?
I'll make that motion.
Second? Mrs. Rhodes? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 8, 1 absent.
St. Vincent 2018-19 Service Delivery Agreement.
The board is asked to consider the 2018-2019 service delivery agreement with St. Vincent's College Prevention Projects.
Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Polakowski, second.
Second.
Did you second? I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
No.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries 7, 1 no, and 1 absent.
Motion to recess to executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Carson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Still second.
Second.
Mr. Polakowski. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
101, that's not violating anything.
Personnel, day-to-day substitutes.
The board is asked to consider the approval of the following day-to-day substitutes for the 2018-2019 school year. Shahira Davis of Hunker, PA. All clearances are on file with the administration. She is being recommended for secretarial aide and cafeteria. Angela Lowry of Uniontown, PA. All clearances are also on file with the administration. She's being recommended for the cafeteria. And Lois Sotomayor of Scott Del Pie. All clearances are on file with the administration, and she is being recommended for cafeteria.
Need a motion?
So be it.
Mr. Beistel, second. Mr. Carson? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8, 1 absent.
YEA supplemental resignation.
The board is asked to consider acceptance of the resignation of Chris Fabian as YEA sponsor and authorize administration to post this position.
Take a motion.
Make that motion.
Mr. Fry, second. Mr. Polakowski? Roll call?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8, and 1 absent.
Girls basketball coach, Amber Cernudo.
The board is asked to consider Amber Sanudo for the position of middle school girls basketball coach for the 2018-2019 school year at a supplemental salary of $3,002 as per the contract between the Southmoreland School District and SEA.
Need a motion?
So be it.
Mr. Beistel, second. Mr. Carson? Roll call?
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 to 1 absent.
Wrestling coach resignations, Nathan Hickson and Dan Boring.
The board is asked to consider the resignations of Nathan Hickson as middle school assistant wrestling coach and Dan Boring as the head middle school wrestling coach and authorizing administration to post these positions.
Need a motion?
I don't have nothing against this, but how can he be head middle school coach plus the head varsity coach?
He's resigning.
He's resigning.
He's resigning.
It said here, Boring as head middle school. Okay, I read it wrong. That's my mistake. That's the first one I made.
I'll read it for him. He's having problems.
Make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Fry? Roll call, please.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 to 1 absent.
High school boys assistant soccer coach, Alex Leonard.
The board is asked to consider the approval of Alex Leonard as the high school assistant boys soccer coach at a supplemental salary of $3,630.
So be it.
Mr. Beistel, second. Mrs. Rhodes? Roll call?
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 with 1 absent.
Resolution for settlement with Linda Butai.
Be it resolved that the Southmoreland Board of School Directors approves the settlement agreement negotiated by its insurer with Linda Butai for the lawsuits filed at Westmoreland County Civil Action Number 1301 of 2014 and all those consolidated at number 1120 of 2011 to be funded by the school district's insurance carrier, CM Regent Insurance Company, as wage claim with this district to pay its respective share of the employer's match for OASDI and Medicare to the appropriate governmental authorities, and which benefit claims waived as set forth in the settlement agreement and release, and authorizes and directs the president to execute the same and the secretary to attest thereto on behalf of the school district.
May I have a motion? Mr. Carson, second. Mrs. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 and 1 absent.
Resignation of head varsity baseball coach Dan Boring.
The board is asked to consider the acceptance of Dan Boring's resignation as head varsity baseball coach and authorize administration to post the position.
Motion?
So be it.
Mr. Beistel, second.
Second.
Mrs. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8, 1 absent.
FMLA for staff member.
The board is asked to consider the approval of an intermittent FMLA leave for Kathy Palagas starting October 11th, 2018.
Mr. Carson?
Second.
Mr. Beistel. Oh, it's Mr. Fry? I'm sorry, Mr. Fry beat you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Motion carries, 8 and 1 absent.
The board is going to be asked to consider the 3-year understanding between the school district and the Southmoreland secretarial employees. It is with a 2% the first year, 2% the second year, and a 2.5% third year increase in salary. It's also with a when scheduled holiday and school is closed and no staff reports, the secretaries will also have that day off. This does not include snow days. This is also retroactive to July 1st. And we're also asking that we bring Kelly Vance we're going to equalize her salary with the rest of the secretaries in her level.
That's retroactive July 1, 2018, correct?
I'm sorry, July 1, 2018.
Make the motion.
Mr. Carson made a motion, second. Second. Mrs. Smith. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Beistel?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes. And I'd like to thank Mr. Fry and Mr. Carson for working with us and the secretaries.
We forgot to ask for comment from the public because it wasn't on the agenda. I just realized that.
Can I ask now?
Ask now.
Is there any comment from the public? Citizens' comments? Motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor?